Part 1 of the Cremona Violin in Weird Tales, Volume 1 by E.T.A. Hoffmann, translated by J.T. Bealby. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Thomas Copeland. Weird Tales, Volume 1 by E.T.A. Hoffmann, translated by J.T. Bealby, Part 1 of the Cremona Violin. Councillor Crespo was one of the strangest, oddest men I ever met with in my life. When I went to live in H for a time, the whole town was full of talk about him, as he happened to be just then in the midst of one of the very craziest of his schemes. Crespo had the reputation of being both a clever, learned lawyer and a skilful diplomatist. One of the reigning princes of Germany, not, however, one of the most powerful, had appealed to him for assistance in drawing up a memorial, which he was desirous of presenting at the imperial court with the view of furthering his legitimate claims upon a certain strip of territory. The project was crowned with the happiest success, and as Crespo had once complained that he could never find a dwelling sufficiently comfortable to suit him, the prince, to reward him for the memorial, undertook to defray the cost of building a house, which Crespo might erect just as he pleased. Moreover, the prince was willing to purchase any site that he should fancy. This offer, however, the councillor would not accept. He insisted that the house should be built in his garden, situated in a very beautiful neighbourhood outside the town walls. So he bought all kinds of materials and had them carted out. Then he might have been seen day after day attired in his curious garments, which he had made himself, according to certain fixed rules of his own, slacking the lime, riddling the sand, packing up the bricks and stones in regular heaps, and so on. All this he did without once consulting an architect or thinking about a plan. One fine day, however, he went to an experienced builder of the town and requested him to be in his garden at daybreak the next morning, with all his journeymen and apprentices, and a large body of labourers, etc., to build him his house. Naturally, the builder asked for the architect's plan, and was not a little astonished when Crespo replied that none was needed, and that things would turn out all right in the end, just as he wanted them. Next morning, when the builder and his men came to the place, they found a trench drawn out in the shape of an exact square, and Crespo said, "Here's where you must lay the foundations. Then carry up the walls until I say they are high enough." "Without windows and doors, and without partitioned walls?" broke in the builder, as if alarmed at Crespo's mad folly. "Do what I tell you, my dear sir," replied the councillor, quite calmly. "Leave the rest to me. It will be all right." It was only the promise of high pay that could induce the builder to proceed with the ridiculous building, but none has ever been erected under merrier circumstances. As there was an abundant supply of food and drink, the workmen never left their work, and amidst their continuous laughter the four walls were run up with incredible quickness, until one day Crespo cried, "Stop!" Then the workmen, laying down the trowel and hammer, came down from the scaffoldings and gathered round Crespo in a circle, whilst every laughing face was asking, "Well, what now?" "Make way!" cried Crespo, and then, running to one end of the garden, he strode slowly towards the square of brickwork. When he came close to the wall, he shook his head in a dissatisfied manner, ran to the other end of the garden, again strode slowly towards the brickwork square, and proceeded to act as before. These tactics he pursued several times, until at length, running his sharp nose hard against the wall, he cried, come here, men! Break me a door in here. Here's where I want a door made." He gave the exact dimensions in feet and inches, and they did as he bid them. Then he stepped inside the structure, and smiled with satisfaction as the builder remarked that the walls were just the height of a good two-storied house. Crespo walked thoughtfully backwards and forwards across the space within, the bricklayers behind him with hammers and picks, and wherever he cried, "Make a window here, 6 feet high by 4 feet broad," there a little window, 3 feet by 2, a hole was made in a trice. It was at this stage of the proceedings that I came to H , and it was amusing to see how hundreds of people stood round about the garden, and raised a loud shout whenever the stones flew out and a new window appeared where nobody had for a moment expected it. And in the same manner Crespo proceeded with the buildings and fittings
Sample complete. Ready to continue?